August 23rd, 2010. On a stormy evening in Manila, capital of the Philippines, there is chaos. Emergency and rescue personnel pulled the remaining bleeding survivors from a tourist bus that was hijacked at 9:30 that morning.
因為我跳出嚟嗰陣時，我已經係忍唔住啦，因為我已經係可能失血過多啊，頭暈啊，腳臂啊，出晒冷汗。
11 hours later, and the bloody end to the hijacking is broadcast around the world. Manila's police force received fierce international condemnation for their handling of the crisis.
Malungkot dahil siyempre ang napalagay sa mga dyaryo, sa TV, wala kaming kakayahan. Failure daw.
Why did it take so long to overcome the hijacker, who seemed so willing to cooperate with authorities?
I don't know, they were waiting for something, probably a miracle from heaven. It was too late.
In one of the Philippines' worst hostage disasters, this is the account of the tragic events aboard Hong Thai bus 799. The morning of August the 23rd, 2010 is a morning like any other in the old Spanish quarter of Intramuros, Manila. A popular destination for tourists and a respite from the more frenetic areas of downtown. But by mid-morning, on this street corner, a tourist bus is accosted by a man who at first makes out to be a policeman. Calmly, he asks the driver if the bus is going to the hero's graveyard.
我架車咯，咁騎住架車咁咪上咗車之後唔多識，梗係啦，叫我哋又坐低唔好嘈啊，諸如此類啊，聽佢指揮啊咁。
會驚嚇，即係唔知咩事發生。
And then, calmly, the hijacker announces that they are now his hostages.
就係呢正件事開始就嗰日就係好，所以就好。 唔係幾 happy 啊！
Mendoza reassures his hostages that his issue is not with them, but instead with the Philippine government. He says that he has been dismissed from the police service over a crime he did not commit. All he wants, he says, is his job back. But no one in the government is listening to his appeal. He tells the driver to start moving.
天主保佑啊，唔知話耶穌啊、基督保佑啊，或者咩之類嗰啲，呢個係自然嘅反應嚟噶嘛，啊，呢個因為佢有呢個信仰，佢咪有呢個自然反應。我就冇宗教信仰咁啊，係啲無可奈何，呢奇叫乜奇叫，而家唯有係等住嗰個 outcome 啊，等佢結果，等你睇點樣。
A short while later, the bus stops at the Corino Grandstand in downtown Manila. On board the bus, tour leader Diana Chan sends a secret text message to her office informing them of the hijacking. As word gets out, local authorities mobilize the police force. And by late morning, the media begins to show a big interest in the unfolding events. Television news journalist Erwin Tulfo of Channel 5 rushes to the scene.
All of us thought that this will be a usual, not an extraordinary hostage crisis. And for me as a journalist, this will just be another story. When I saw that this guy is a police officer, I said, like, he knows the deal. Probably he will give up. It's like no one was taking him seriously, actually.
Ano ba? Meron tayong designated person to talk to you.
Chief negotiator Colonel Yebra is assigned by the police authorities and faces an impatient media, hungry for answers. He knows the task ahead is not going to be easy.
I used to know criminals who are taking hostages and mentally deranged people and terrorists, but it is different to deal with former policemen also.
As Mendoza ensures the driver cannot escape, police officer Major Salvador, a former colleague and good friend of Mendoza's, is nominated to make the first contact.
I asked if I can go near the bus so we can talk personally. And he said, yes, come here. I'm longing to talk to anybody. I want this incident to be finished immediately.
Mendoza reassures Salvador on the phone that if his one demand is met, nothing more will happen.
If he received the order that he is reinstated to the full service, he will handcuff himself and go down the bus, knowing that he already committed another crime that can be a basis for his another dismissal. He knew that all along.
As Salvador nervously approaches the bus, he notices Mendoza's demands have been written on paper and adhered to the windshield.
And I can copy that demand for me to show it to my superiors.
In 2008, Rolando Mendoza, a former police captain, was accused of drug charges and allegations of corruption. Stripped of his job and retirement benefits, Mendoza fiercely defended his innocence. But his case for appeal was reportedly met with silence, and he was left to face humiliation within the police force and his own family. Mendoza's demands are clear. Reverse his case for dismissal from the police service, and he will immediately surrender, releasing the hostages.
They only wanted that he be reinstated, his image be brought back to him, the pride, the Manila's finest morale. That's all he wanted.
Officially, yung ating negotiation is still ongoing.
But as the police make their first press statement, no mention is given to their former colleagues' demands. On board the bus, conditions for hostage Mrs. Lee start to become very uncomfortable. A pain in her stomach starts to get worse. Nervously, she makes a request to be let off. To her surprise, Mendoza grants her request on the condition that she comes back. But the police stop her from returning to the bus.
即係當我唔上得巴士啦，咁就感覺到係就好嚴重咯，好大件事咯。即係好多傳媒包圍住，就覺得係咁大件事。
Attracting such a strong media presence is exactly what Mendoza is counting on. Knowing that television cameras are now pointing at the bus, he uses this chance to air his grievances.
嗰啲 poster 嗰啲啊，嚟叫人哋貼喺個窗門嗰度咁樣嘅。
In a gesture of goodwill, another 4 hostages are released, a mother and 3 children. In return, Mendoza asks to speak with the media.
There was no media. Media were not allowed to go near the bus. All he said, like, I just want to make a press statement that we were not allowed.
As the midday sun forces temperatures to rise inside the bus, Mendoza, armed with an automatic weapon and holding 25 people hostage, grows dangerously impatient. Over 3 hours since hijacking Hongtai Bus 799, authorities continue to show little sign of meeting hostage-taker Rolando Mendoza's one demand for reinstatement into the police force. Hostage Mr. Lee, a diabetic, has become unwell and is in need of medical attention.
I just told Captain Mendoza that there's an elderly man inside the bus who is sick with diabetes, and can you allow him to get out of the bus?
At first, Captain Mendoza, no. I will not release any more hostages.
With outside temperatures now exceeding 35 degrees centigrade, Mendoza wants to keep the engine running in order to keep the air conditioning working for the hostages. But to do this, he needs more gasoline.
When he demanded for the gasoline, for 20 liters of gasoline, that's the time that, okay, I will release the diabetic.
But as his demand for gasoline is granted, Mendoza appears to stall.
咁門多薩咧就叫我落車啊嘛，咁我落車咧，我落到最後一級嗰陣時，佢門多薩就撳住我個膊頭，撳住我呢邊嘅膊頭，啊，膊頭佢即係右手啊搭住我度，就 即係唔俾我落字咁嘅意思啊嘛，要我落字等喂啊，咁樣我唔知啊，我咪企喺度唔喐啊。
At the last minute, Mendoza says he will release Mr. Lee only if Colonel Yebra can guarantee that his case for dismissal is taken to the Ombudsman for a reverse decision.
That was after I told him that Vice Mayor Isko Moreno was already on his way to tell the Ombudsman about his case. That was the concession.
With a deal struck, the tension subsides, and it seems that Mendoza's one demand is finally being put into action. And Mr. Lee walks free.
我最驚就係嗰陣時，因為咧我好似感覺到佢，就好似要捉翻我轉頭咁樣啊，所以我嗰時我最驚嗰一刻啊，喺呢個全國嘅 hostage 咧就最驚嗰一刻嘅。
When Mr. Lee is led to the safety of the police command shelter at the far end of the grandstand, he meets an unexpected visitor.
當時阿門多薩個女咧，都喺嗰個警崗嗰度，啊，警崗嗰度，佢都行過入嚟警崗隔離嗰間房嗰度咧，向我道歉。佢話好對唔住，我爸爸做咗呢啲事，令到你受驚，我都話呢啲過咗去咯。
And then, a moment later, Mr. Lee is reunited with his wife.
第一個攬住佢啦，攬住佢喊，即係覺得嗰種係喜樂嘅喊啊！你出咗嚟唔使我擔心啊咁，係一個gift 啊 ，that's a big gift for us.
While Mr. and Mrs. Lee are given medical attention, little, if any, comes from the police, missing a golden opportunity to gather critical information about the situation inside the bus.
冇人問過我咩問題，只係咧我同佢哋溝通嗰陣，佢問我，即係紅十字會嗰啲人問我啲問題，你點啊咁。
At the time, Mr. and Mrs. Lee have no idea they have just escaped a tragedy waiting to happen. Meanwhile, just under 2 hours later, and another unexpected visitor turns up on the scene. An unknown man manages to sneak his way past the police line and approaches the bus. Being in a restricted area, Major Salvador notices he is carrying a firearm. The man is Gregorio Mendoza, the brother of the hijacker Rolando Mendoza. He tells Major Salvador he just wants to plead with his brother to stop the hijacking. Refusing to surrender his weapon, Salvador is forced to take swift action.
I tap on his left shoulder and grab his firearm, snatch it from him. I told him, "Hindi ka pwede dito. You're not allowed here. You have to ask clearance from the Vice Committee for him to talk to Captain Mendoza."
Seeing his brother, also a fellow police officer, have his firearm taken from him in such a humiliating manner only creates further agitation in Mendoza, who is still desperately awaiting his letter reversing his dismissal from the police. At approximately 5 p.m., 7 hours since Mendoza hijacked the bus, Hong Kong Chief Executive Donald Tsang attempts to contact President Aquino in the Philippines, but the president is unreachable. This would do nothing for diplomatic relations between the two countries in the weeks that follow. Back at the grandstand, an elite tactical unit arrives for a possible assault on the bus. The Special Action Force, known as the SAF, and trained by the American FBI, are deployed following a direct order by President Aquino.
When we arrived there, we immediately conduct rehearsals. Our team, where we will be positioned, my snipers.
Night falls, and despite the weather taking a turn for the worst, hope emerges. Authorities have finally issued a letter regarding Mendoza's request for reinstatement. The negotiating team approach the bus to give the good news to Mendoza. Assisting them is the hijacker's brother, Gregorio. By now, radio news network RMN has managed to contact Mendoza on a cell phone, and the lead news anchor conducts a live exclusive interview with Mendoza. He is asked to read out the letter live on air, but the contents are not what anyone was expecting.
Yun ang gusto ko mangyari. Final order. Yun yung ginawa kanina, sulat lang yun. Para ako yung napasitay sa init ng aking ulo. Apo, hindi tama yun. Mali yun.
He was enraged. He told us that, hindi itong kailangan ko. I don't need this.
Wala yan. Walang kwenta yung sulat na yan. Yung binasa ko na yan. Walang kwenta yan para sa akin.
The letter simply offers an extension to review Mendoza's case instead of his demand for an offer of full reinstatement.
The court said, like, no, we can't do that. We have a process. We have to follow a process. It will take us about 10 days. And this kind of pissed him off. And he said, like, I want to be reinstated today.
When the negotiation failed and his request for reinstatement will not be given, he's willing to die for that.
46-year-old hostage Joe Chan recalls witnessing the moment that puts Mendoza at fever pitch.
長時間之後，佢同政府啲人啊嗰啲傾電話啊，見到佢個情緒啊，好唔穩定。佢俾佢當地政府啲人。
I told him, please come down. What if I can convince my boss to issue an order, not actually reinstating you, but suspending the implementation? And he answered back, told me that, okay.
With renewed signs of hope, Colonel Yebra informs his superiors, Mayor Lim and General Magtibay, that Mendoza is willing to accept a partial compromise. But the team failed to reach an agreement on issuing such an order.
When the group did not reach an agreement as to whether or not issue said order, Mayor Lim suggested that they all go to Emerald Restaurant to take their dinner.
While senior members of the command and negotiation team take their dinner in the nearby Emerald Restaurant, unknown to the group at the time, the failure to implement this order immediately would have devastating consequences in the hours that follow. Mendoza, continuing to be interviewed on live radio, is now losing his patience and seems to be on the verge of breaking.
So, how much you want for it? Is this really LeBron James' mouthpiece? That is really, really cool.
I think it's priceless.
This is Vegas. I might hit a jackpot.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, brother.
I would have killed for this thing when I was 16 years old.
I picked this lifestyle because I want to be free.
To me, the land is everything.
All the worst things can happen in the blink of an eye.
We're not the top of the food chain.
Crazy cold out here. Surviving in the wilderness is a battle that never ends.
On live radio, hostage taker Rolando Mendoza continues to shout down the phone to news anchor Michael Rogas and journalist Erwin Tulfo.
He felt that he is just being cheated after being nice to them, giving up hostages. He felt like they're lying to him. And he's a cop. He knows that it's a delaying tactic and they're tiring him out. So like, no, they can't tire me. I know this crap, he said.
Meanwhile, at the command post, there is a new drama unfolding. The hijacker's brother, Gregorio Mendoza, is being detained over his breach of the police cordon earlier in the day, while carrying a firearm and causing a disturbance during negotiations. But when he is led to the police car to be taken away, he collapses to the ground. few moments later, and his son also joins in the tirade. Back inside the bus, Mendoza's rage only grows further as he demands to know why the police are manhandling his brother. But Tulfo is puzzled as to how Mendoza can see what's happening.
The main anchor man over the radio said, like, what do you want us to do? They're like, well, I want you to tell him to stop beating up my brother and treating him like pig. I mean, and some members of my family. Came to realize later that I was listening. Oh, we can see it inside the bus. They're like, I see it here in the bus. They're beating my brother.
The police plead with the media to stop their live coverage, but the media ignore their requests. This incident would later prove to be the catalyst that pushes Mendoza into a violent killing spree. While police continue their attempts to detain Gregorio, Erwin Tulfo returns to the phone and resumes his conversation with Mendoza.
I can hear Captain Mendoza already screaming like, let him go. He's talking in Filipino. You guys better let him go. Better tell them to let my brother go. He's not into this. He's not part of this, okay? If they want to get me, just me. Leave my brother alone. Leave my family alone. I swear to God, I'm going to kill everybody in here in a bus. I will give you 5 minutes.
At that point, Tulfo looks for a member of the negotiation team.
So the main anchorman on the radio told me, like, Erwin, can you do something about this? Can you talk to the ground commander or Yebra? So like, I don't see any Yebra here. I haven't seen him since 4 o'clock where I'm standing at. And I was standing like about 50 meters away behind the bus.
With Mendoza making death threats on live radio and with no member of the negotiating team close at hand, Tulfo desperately looks for help.
The closest person I was able to talk to was the deputy ground commander. And I told him, sir, I said, like, Colonel, I think Captain Mendoza is threatening to kill all the hostages if the police officers in that station will not stop beating up his brother, arresting him.
Immediately, the deputy ground commander makes contact with his superiors, Ground Commander Magtibay and Mayor Lim. Upon hearing the news, they stop their meal and make their way back to the grandstand. Having lost faith in the ability of local authorities to peacefully pacify Mendoza, on board the bus, 46-year-old hostage Joe Chan recalls taking matters into his own hands.
咁我當其時我諗過係冇辦法可以控制晒佢對手啊，因為要將一對手控制住佢一對手，先至可以有機會制服到佢。咁但係我唔肯定呢個成功有幾多個 percent 啊。
Finally, Mendoza's patience breaks and he opens fire in a mad fit of desperation. A tour guide, handcuffed to the door of the bus, is killed by Mendoza.
I look at the door of the bus. I saw the first guy that was handcuffed earlier. He just fell.
跟住梁生同我一齊走出嚟，喺條走廊嗰度一向前走嘅時候，佢已經一槍就打跌咗梁生，跟住佢支槍已經指住我，我即刻縮翻埋個位度。
So after those shots, I hear crying, ah, like that, screaming.
佢縮翻埋個位度，佢就已經輪住隊打落嚟，跟住。
Then Mendoza reaches Joe Chan last of all.
都冇咩諗噶啦，係攞住個袋擋咯，擋完之後隻手一彈開，見到自己係咁流血，飆啊啲血同埋流啊，直情係噴到啲燈咁遠啊！我諗，即係直噴啦，總之噴咗落阿李盈全個媽咪喺隔離嗰行位嗰個頭度啊，噴咗落佢個頭度。
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I said, like I said, oh my God, I told you guys, better move.
跟住望到有兩個手穿晒窿，兩個大窿喺度，個頭就感覺唔到有乜嘢，咁啊用呢隻手撳住隻手瞓咗張凳度，跟住就正直晒㗎啦。佢打完我係最後一個㗎啦，因為佢見到我爆開隻手啲血飛到好犀利啊嘛，佢都可能以為我死咗㗎啦，因為佢見到有未死嘅人，佢都有補槍，佢都有喐，即係後尾見到佢係。 有人撲出嚟，佢又補槍，仲要走埋打多槍咁樣咯。
Out of the deadly aftermath, somehow the driver, Alberto Lubang, manages to break free from his handcuffs and he makes a run for police protection.
When the driver escaped from the window and shouted, "Pinatay lahat, pinatay lahat." All of them was killed. All of them was killed. Then we thought that Mendoza already shot all the hostages.
As the driver receives medical attention, again, not one of the authorities questions him about the situation on board the bus. Later investigations would cite this as yet another missed opportunity to gain much-needed intelligence prior to conducting an assault. The only person police are trying to question is the hijacker's brother, Gregorio. Despite the massacre on board the bus, police are still having trouble in detaining him. For the police authorities, there is now no other option remaining than to launch an assault to kill Mendoza. The Special Action Force sent by the President anticipate receiving the final order to launch their assault. But something is wrong.
We were just waiting for orders if we will go in or not.
A moment later, they learn that the ground commander, General Magtibay, has given the go-ahead to send in the Manila police SWAT instead.
The directive was for the SAF to be employed. But it seems that along the way, the instructions were not complied with by the ground commander, because the ground commander really called the shots. But I'm certain that he received that order to employ the SAF.
This comes as a surprise to SWAT unit team leader Espinoza.
Kasi unang-una, international ano yan eh. Pero mga foreigner yan, dapat naman talaga sila. Pero dahil hindi kami binigyan ng order, kami ang papel.
Confused, the SAF have no choice but to stand back and let the Manila police SWAT take up position instead. Espinoza is briefed by his superior.
Siyempre, ang hinahangad namin na ma-neutralize din siya. Yun lang naman ano.
I picked this lifestyle because I want to be free.
To me, the land is everything.
All the worst things can happen in the blink of an eye.
If we're not, it's out of the food chain.
Crazy cold out here. Surviving in the wilderness is a battle that never ends.
So, how much you want for it? Is this really LeBron James's mouthpiece? That is really, really cool.
I think it's priceless.
This is Vegas. I might hit a jackpot.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, brother.
I would have killed for this thing when I was 16 years old.
Drugs, that's all she cares about.
She's not getting any better. She's only getting worse.
It's been hell. I don't want to see her kill herself. You need this treatment. You need it.
Get it out of my face!
Just calm down.
I will break your cameras. Let me out!
It's not too late, kiddo.
You're missing out on so much in life.
You're willing to go?
This is a life-changing opportunity for you.
I told you, Ivor, you can't kill him.
It's impossible.
It's a new world.
How have you lost your mind?
Come with me! Come to King Alfred!
We shall never surrender! The golden age of the Vikings is over.
It is 7:37 p.m. at the Quirino Grandstand in Manila, Philippines. Just 2 months earlier, the grandstand played venue to President Aquino's ascendancy to the presidency. Now, it has become the scene to a deadly hijacking, as word gets out that hijacker Rolando Mendoza has killed all the hostages aboard a tourist bus.
Hostages were being killed, were slaughtered inside, screaming, so I wanted that this guy should be neutralized right away.
The Manila police SWAT launched their assault, while up in the grandstand, 3 snipers take their positions. The first task is to make visual contact with Mendoza. Espinoza leads a team to the front portion of the bus.
Nandun ako sa harap sa may traverset, nakabang ako, nakaganyan ako. Abang ako, baka pumunta sa area ko, akin. Pag nakuha ko siya, makita ko siya, akin siya.
Heavy rain hampers the SWAT's efforts to get a clear visual inside the bus. They rely on their physical strength and stamina to move around in search of any movement from Mendoza.
Up. And then, di pa to ang posisyon. Kung saan ko siya pwede makita. Imagine, sakit dito. Napakahirap. Pero kaya palipat-lipat ka, hanap ka ng vantage position na makita mo siya.
The SWAT attempt to smash the windows to see clearly inside. But to their surprise, the glass is a lot stronger than they expect. So instead, Espinoza makes an attempt at gaining entry through the main door. A moment later, there is an exchange of gunfire.
初嗰陣時聽到槍聲，我就喺個凳度，初頭瞓喺個凳度嘅，咁我就瞓埋落地下啦，直情成個攝咗落個地下嗰度，咁跟住就一路係咁聽到啲差人係咁離遠打，同埋最後咧。
Ako, nung nangyari nun, naalaala ko, napatakbo ako sa harap sa pintuan. Pag ganun ko, nakita ko yung isang nakahandcuff na tourist guide nandun sa pintuan. So, paano ko mabuksan ang pintuan?
Espinoza is forced to think of another way into the bus.
Pero kung wala na siguro yun, siguro mga 5 minutes mataas na yung kuha na namin si Captain Mendoza.
As the SWAT fail in their numerous attempts to get inside the bus, the media offer their candid advice.
After so many tries, about 5-10 minutes, good of 5-10 minutes, the media is us. We're like about 50 meters away. Hey, come on, guys, just grab. You see that door handle there on the right side of the bus towards the end? That's the exit door. Flip it open or twist it and then pull the door. That's the exit. That's how you get in. And that's what they did.
The SWAT team finally penetrate the rear of the bus.
凍好多嗰陣時就開始，第一個差人喺呢度搣開道門上嚟嘅時候咧，佢淨係佢喺呢度走咗上嚟，我咁瞓喺度啊嘛，但我冇睇到啦，我聽到聲後尾，我聽到聲個門手實向住佢開槍，好近距離咁打佢啊，又係打佢，砰！
Sabi ang reported pa nga sa akin nakarating casualty. Nung mamaya nakita ko bumalik, okay naman, hindi na inabot.
跟住嗰個差人就咁褪翻出嚟，跟住就冇再上嚟。
With the SWAT seemingly unable to penetrate the bus, they pause and regroup, as journalist Erwin Tulfo recalls.
I believe, from my own point of view, and this is just a speculation, all right? The reason why it took some time, they're dilly-dallying or having second thoughts to neutralize Captain Mendoza is because he's one of them. He belongs in this so-called Manila Police Brotherhood Association. Even if you messed up, the arresting officer will just close his eyes and walk away. you know, because we belong in one unit. We are brothers.
But Espinosa, Manila Police SWAT team leader, does not agree.
Kahit bang pulis yan eh. Kahit maging kumpare mo yan, tema ng trabaho mo to, trabaho mo yan. Kahit sino. Lumabag na siya eh, di ba? Okay na, trabaho lang. Sa amin, ganun dito sa SWAT. Trabaho lang kami, masaya na kami.
Meanwhile, hidden from the cameras, there is a drama unfolding within the chain of command. With the SWAT clearly appearing out of their depth, their ground commander, General Magtibai, who refused sending in the SAF, is now relinquished of his command.
I'm not surprised that time, but the fact that I saw how the SWAT did the assault, they were disorganized, if I may say. There was no command and control that time. So I'm expecting that later on we will be ordered to assault the bus because the SWAT cannot penetrate swiftly.
By approximately 8:11 p.m., senior regional authorities finally give the long-awaited order for the Special Action Force to go in and join the SWAT.
When we were at the back portion of the bus, the SWAT team leader approached me and he asked me what will be the option.
The Special Action Force, or SAF, know that to get a clear shot at Mendoza, he needs to be drawn out of the bus.
So what my thing that time was just throw tear gas. The back portion of the bus was already broken. We pull the button and throw.
The overwhelming effect of tear gas is almost instant to everybody on board, not least to Joe Chan, who continues to play dead for fear of being shot by Mendoza.
但係好在一樣嘢，嗰陣時門多煞都可能咳緊，同埋佢亦都唔敢喐啦，佢淨係揩喺即係譬如喺嗰啲凳踎咗喺啲凳邊嗰度，喺度即係戒備咁咯。咁我哋呢邊咧咳咗兩聲之後冇幾耐咧，嗰個催淚彈。
Struggling to breathe and unable to see properly, Mendoza instinctively moves away from the back of the bus to seek relief from the tear gas. And this is precisely what the SAF want him to do.
Upon throwing the tear gas, it only takes 3 minutes that the subject was neutralized.
At approximately 8:41 p.m., it all comes to an end. According to an official government report, a SWAT sniper in the upper reaches of the grandstand detects movement from Mendoza and takes a shot. For a few minutes, an eerie silence.
We see Mendoza's body half outside the bus, half was inside. I mean, half of his head was gone.
After checking for any possible explosives on Mendoza's body, his corpse is untangled from the bus door.
Sumigaw na may sumigaw na may tama na si Mendoza. Andun ako, nakadikit niya na. Mayroon akong footage sa bulletin. Andun katabi ko si Mendoza. Nagsumisigaw ako na okay na. Tama na, holster firearm na. Baga na holster firearm, okay na. Umaawat na ako.
And then chaos sets in as emergency services rush to the bus.
咁我已經喺最後個差人都叫我 move， 細細聲叫，跟住大聲啲，跟住我已經忍唔住，我已經拱開張凳就跳出嚟，即係自己跳出嚟。但係我跳出嚟嗰陣時係唔肯定嗰個門多薩死咗未肯定。因為我跳出嚟嗰陣時，我已經係忍唔住啦，因為我已經係可能失血過多啊，頭暈啊，腳臂啊，出晒冷汗啊咁樣。手咪望到呢邊穿咗個大窿咯，就見到骨咁樣撳住佢都止唔到血，啲血喺手指罅湧出嚟，跟住要咁樣捏住咯，咁樣調轉捏住，跟住佢由噴就改為流咯。見到啲骨呢度又成個大窿咁樣反晒啲肉，反開晒，尤其係見到骨，見到支血管伸咗出嚟咯。支血管伸咗出嚟，跟住就係咁噴血咯。
Dazed and confused, emergency personnel point Joe Chan to an ambulance.
咁上咗救傷車度就亦都冇人幫我止血喎，止血都冇，連繃帶都冇嘅救傷車。
After 11 long hours, the Manila bus hostage crisis comes to a bloody end. Nobody anticipated that this would be the outcome. But the truly damaging drama has yet to surface.
I told you, Ivor, you can't kill him. It's impossible. It's a new world. How have you lost your mind? Come with me! Come to King Alfred! We shall never surrender!
The golden age of the Vikings is over.
Drugs, that's all she cares about.
She's not getting any better, she's only getting worse.
I'm sorry. It's been hell. I don't want to see her kill herself. You need this treatment. You need it.
Get it out of my face!
Just calm down.
I will break your cameras. Let me out!
It's not too late, kiddo.
You're missing out on so much in life.
You're willing to go?
This is a life-changing opportunity for you.
We tend to think that everything in the world is pretty much known. It isn't true. Are there such things as deadly forests?
100 bodies a year are found in that place.
Bizarre creatures.
There has been thousands of sightings of chupacabras.
Haunted houses.
Do you think what's in that house is evil?
The answers are frightening.
So, how much you want for it? Is this really LeBron James's mouthpiece? That is really, really cool.
I think it's priceless.
This is Vegas. I might hit a jackpot.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, brother.
I would have killed for this thing when I was 16 years old.
In the aftermath of one of the Philippines' most bloody hijackings, 8 hostages are confirmed dead. 17 survive, many of whom are severely injured. Complete mayhem ensues.
It was very chaotic. There was no order. Everybody was like free to get inside the bus, aside from the police officers. I mean, some even bystanders, peddlers and vendors trying to get in.
Later investigations would find the efforts of emergency services are severely hampered by the lack of a post-assault plan. Dismayed by the scene around him, Secretary Jesse Robredo, a close aide to President Aquino, recalls his visit to the scene of the crisis.
The area was not really managed very well, meaning, it should have been cordoned. There was rather some confusion on what needs to be done, given the fact, I guess, that it was unexpected, and that is how that incident will end.
Even members of the media were able to board ambulances in order to get nearer to the crime scene.
I think it took a good all about 10 to 15 minutes before the police were able to control and contain the area. They put a tape around it until somebody, I think the secretaries are like, hey, come on, guys, let's organize this and secure this line. Nobody should be allowed to get inside the bus. I think some media people were able to enter the bus. I did not.
Later reports would speculate that the media's overzealous coverage of the crisis played a key role in enabling Mendoza to outfox the SWAT and put lives in danger.
Kasi kawawa naman kami nagtatrabaho, pero susugod namin sarili namin ito. Pinapanood kami ni Medusa kung paano kami babarilin. Okay namang coverage, huwag lang ipakita. Okay lang ipakita, pero pwede naman siguro, ewan ko kung paano ma-block yung parasya sa kanyang sa TV niya.
The consulate from the Chinese embassy wants to know where the victims are being taken.
I recall I called one police officer and asked him where they were taking them. And I offered to accompany him. So from there, we went around all the hospitals and just check on how they were doing. Of course, some of them died already.
Reports would later testify that due to a lack of coordination with medical facilities, some of the victims are turned away as they arrive at hospital and advised to find another. This wastes crucial time in saving lives.
只係有領事館啊，當地有啲華僑嚟喺醫院探過下我哋，即係有探我哋當地中國領事館有派人嚟探我哋咯，幫我哋走咯。咁但係當地嘅官員係冇。 當地冇官員問過我，從來冇。
In the minutes and hours of the aftermath, the media is quick to turn the spotlight onto the ground commander, General Magtibai, whose decision-making throughout the day was called into question.
There were some directives that were not fully complied with. These were clear directives of the president. And certainly, I guess the president should be disappointed in as much as his directives were not complied with, and the resulting outcomes are not really favorable.
Not long before the assault on the bus took place, little attention was given to a second letter drafted by the police headquarters some 8 miles away. Major Salvador learns that the letter contained the good news that Mendoza had been hoping for, full reinstatement to the police service. But en route to the grandstand, the letter was delayed in heavy traffic, and it arrived on the scene at approximately 7:30 p.m., only minutes before the SWAT's assault. In earnest, he attempted to call Mendoza in order to ensure a safe passage to the bus to deliver the letter by hand. But there was a problem. He could not get through to Mendoza on the phone.
We are trying to contact him from 7:30, but it's always busy. We are trying hard to reach out for him to give the good news that his request, his demand, was already given and accepted and approved by the PNP authorities. But that order did not come to his hands.
The second letter, issuing an order, was a direct result of Colonel Yebra's recommendation to his superiors earlier in the day.
I should have done more. I should have insisted in that order to be issued by General Magtibay or General Santiago. We should have, talk about some other things in order to resolve it peacefully, but In general, we failed.
In the months following the hijacking, separate investigations are undertaken by the Philippine and Hong Kong governments. They both independently conclude that one of the primary issues at fault were the negotiations falling apart early in the day.
你咁多人都唔能夠制服嗰個門多薩。
佢開槍嗰時候咧，殺人嗰時候咧，佢係嗰個血係冷血噶嘛。佢當時上車咧劫持我哋嗰陣時咧，佢抱有一個希望噶嘛。佢希望係佢個心仍然係溫暖㗎。
我發覺當地咧嗰個指揮營救我哋嘅官員嗰啲啊，係需要負好大責任。去菲律賓嗰邊尋求翻一個，因為佢處理失當，佢應該承擔嘅責任嘅嘢咯，咁樣。
At the Corino grandstand, only scarred memories remain as telltale signs to the events that took place here on August the 23rd, 2010. Ultimately, what brought about such brutality in the final hours of the hijacking of Hong Thai Bus 799 may never be truly understood.
改變咗人生嘅睇法咯，凡事都冇咁執着咯，即係覺得生命可以係一瞬間失去咯。即係其實以前我都係睇得開啲㗎啦，不過問題呢件事就更加令到佢珍惜所有身邊而家有嘅嘢咯，因為覺得生命係無常咯，盡量珍惜身邊嘅人咯，係嘛？把握每一日活得開心咯，都係咁。